Hello, my name is Austin Belzer, and welcome back to the Austin B Media Podcast. But before we get into the podcast, I gotta tell you how you can support my work. The way I fund my work, whether it be a review of a movie I rent or paying for Zoom, my Patreon is the way you can help offset those costs. Patrons like MB Labula, Brian Scuttle, Joseph Davis of Sif Pop, Matthew Simpson of Blossom Friday, Tom Blackburn, and more all help to make episodes like this possible. So thank you to all you lovely patrons out there. Beyond financial support, you get some pretty sweet perks in exchange for that financial support. Whether you're into 24-hour early access to my reviews and this podcast, monthly surveys, giving direct feedback, commentaries, and just about everything in between, consider becoming a patron for as low as $1 a month at patreon.com/austinbmedia. You can also save 16% off if you decide to subscribe annually. On top of that, if you're not ready to subscribe for whatever reason, you can get a 7-day free trial for every single tier I offer, even the more expensive ones. So with that, I hope you enjoy the show. Hello, my name is Austin Belzer, and welcome back to the Austin B Media Podcast. Today, I will be discussing the seventh film in the Tom Cruise-led spy action thriller, whatever you want to call it, series, Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning Part 1, with my guest, Pedro Lima. I don't know why my brain had a brain fart there, but welcome to the podcast, Pedro. Tell everyone what you've been working on recently, what you've published, and where we can follow you.
Oh, okay. Hi, guys. First of all, thank you, Austin, for having me on the podcast. So, my name is Pedro Lima. I'm a writer from Brazil. So, right now, I'm writing for Short Stick. That is a website that we talk about festivals and short film festivals and short films that may have potential on the award season. So, I have been publishing there. And also you can find me at Pedro underline Lima 1101 at Twitter and Pedro Lima at Pedro underline Lima at Letterboxd to see what I'm watching.
Awesome. I'll make sure to follow you if I'm not already on Letterboxd. If I'm probably following you, but just in case, I'll make sure I am after we get off here and I start editing everything. But before we move into our Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1, which is, by the way, a mouthful. So I think from here on out, I'm just going to call it MI7 or Dead Reckoning Part 1. Something new I've been doing is asking people before we get into our discussion, shout out and things like that, like any movies, TV shows you're watching.
Oh, that's awesome. Yesterday was a holiday here in Brazil, so I had plenty of time to catch on screeners and movies that I was behind. So I'm watching a lot of the Oscars international feature submissions. So yesterday I watched Anthony Chan's The Breaking Ice. That is I really enjoyed the movie. I also watched today the Bob Wine People's President. This one is I didn't like that much,
You
but
didn't like
also
it?
no, it was not for me. I watched I didn't talk about that, but I might remember. So we have a lot of IDA's International Documentary Association. So I have a lot of documentary screeners, and so just to cite another two that I watched yesterday or the day before, it was Everybody. It's a very good doc that was in Tribeca. It's directed by Julia Cohen. That was nominated for the Oscars for that doc RBJ.
Mhm.
And also I watched the Silver Dollar Road by Raul Peck that premiered at TIFF, and also didn't like that much. But yeah, basically these are like the movies that I'm watching. I'm watching a lot of international stuff and documentary stuff that I have to catch on due to screeners and a lot of movies that we have to see. But yeah, it's nice. It's nice to watch documentaries, international features. And also, I'm very excited to watch next week Killers of the Flower Moon. Haven't watched? Have you watched yet?
No, I haven't. In fact, I have to make a special trip to see that movie.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, because I live in quite a rural area,
Mm.
so I have to go to the local Alamo Draft House to go see it, which is about 2 hours away.
I think that Scorsese is worth it and to watch at a big theater. And I'm dying to see it. I don't know if you read the book, but the book is really good.
No, I
Uh,
haven't.
yeah.
But in a interview I did, I guess in January for Murder in Bighorn, the director or showrunner, I think, recommended I either watch the movie or read the book because they're Murder in Bighorn and Killers of the Flower Moon have to deal with similar topics.
Oh, about the Osage and the yeah. Yeah, it's a great book. A great book, and I'm really excited to watch Scorsese. And I also recommend Scorsese last week did a Q&A with Edgar Wright. It is on YouTube, on the BFI YouTube. It's a 1 hour and a half video, and it's awesome to. It's a masterclass of Scorsese talking about his movies and about cinema in general. So yeah, that's basically what I'm watching recently.
I'll have to include that in the show notes. I don't think I've seen that yet.
Yeah, I can send you the link. It's in the BFI YouTube channel, and I watched it yesterday. It's really great because Edgar Wright is also a guy that loves cinema and knows he has a movie list with 1,000 movies called Edgar Wright's favorite movies of all time. It's 1,000 movies. So he's a guy that knows a lot about cinema, and Scorsese is Scorsese. So they both do a great together.
Yeah, I think the last movie and maybe no, it wasn't the only movie. The first movie I watched of Scorsese's was Shutter Island, I think.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
And then I think what was his next one? Irishman after that?
No, it was Wolf of Wall Street.
Okay, that's when I'm like two-thirds of the way through because also a 3-hour movie, and I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
I need to
A-
just marathon that movie.
a- And it's a movie. I understand you having this kind of trouble to finish because it's a high octane movie and happens a lot of things and it's too intense and a lot of. So I understand. But after that, he did Silence and then he did The Irishman.
I meant to see Silence, I really did, but I think something else came out when that
If
movie
I'm not,
came out.
yeah, if I'm not wrong, Silence was released in Christmas Day in the US in 2016, and I
Mhm.
think that La La Land was released around the
That's
time.
probably it. Yeah.
Around the time, I'm not sure. I can confirm later, but yeah, I understand. I also didn't watch Silence. Is probably one of his most underwatched and movie, but I think I'll watch it before Killers of Flower Moon.
Yeah, I might do that too, especially because TikTok's been recommending that. I just get random TikTok clips of movies, and I'm
Hmm.
like, and I'll occasionally get clips of silence in there, and I'm like, okay, I guess I'll watch this whole
Yeah,
thing.
and it seems great. I watched also a lot of clips of it, and it seems great. Liam Neeson, Andrew Garfield seems really great. And you talked about TikTok. I remember that I watched this week the TikTok that Francesca Scorsese did with
Yeah, I
her
saw that.
father. Yeah, it's awesome. She's teaching him some new generation Gen Z slangs. It's very, very funny.
Yeah, he talked about how King of Comedy was slept on, and he
I
started
was
calling
left
out
on.
names.
Yeah, and he talks about that in the BFI masterclass,
Yeah,
and he talks about that, and he also called a lot of names, and he talks about how the media at the time did not give the movie what it deserved. So yeah,
yeah.
it's awesome. Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, but with that said, yeah, I'll include all those links. It's going to be a bevy of links. It's probably just going to be a paragraph at this point.
Yeah, a
Um,
lot of links. Yeah.
yeah. But with that said, I think we'll move on to the discussion part. So for those who haven't watched or listened to my podcast discussion with, oh gosh, I forgot the creator podcast. I forgot who I had on for the guest. Sorry, because I know we're super close. But we had a spoiler discussion after the spoiler-free discussion, and that's how we'll be doing it this time. If you haven't seen the movie, there'll be a clear point where I say, "Hey, this is the end of our spoiler-free discussion," because I think, like the creator, there's a lot to talk about with spoilers in this movie. Less so in the way that Mission Impossible Fallout or Rogue Nation or Ghost Protocol, any of the previous MI movies really had a central plot. There was one in Fallout, but that was more like, hey, here's the twist. Uh,
Yeah.
but with that said, since I'm already talking about the MI films in particular, what has been what's your history with the Mission Impossible films? Did you watch Ghost Protocol first, or did you grow up with Impossible? What was your entry point?
Yeah, I don't recall if I watched three the three first ones before I watched Ghost Protocol. I think I did watched like the first one, the John Woo's Mission Possible, and MI3 on the TV. I remember that it was very popular on TV around the time. It was like that kind of movie. So late 2000s, it was very usual to have that kind of movie on TV. So Bourne, Mission Possible, that kind of action movie that was really popular at the time. And but the first one that I was like a bit more a bit older, I think I was 9 when it came out. It was Ghost Protocol. So I remember watching it with my father. We rented out on a video store
Uh huh.
and watch it. And it is it's still my favorite one, and I think it's because of Brad Bird. The way that he directed is very fun. At that time, I didn't know, but I was already a Brad Bird fan due to the Iron Giant and Incredibles, and even Tomorrowland. That is not like a great movie, but it has a lot of great action scenes. He's very good at directing action scenes because he's an animation guy and he knows how to draw the action pieces. And I took a while to watch the other ones, and I watched like recently before the Dead Reckoning when I was post a surgery and I had a lot of time, so I said, "Oh, I'm going to watch Rogue
The
Nation
best
and
time.
Fallout." Yeah, I had a lot of time, so I watched Rogue Nation and Fallout, and then I went to see this new one. So that's basically my history. But I'm a big fan of Ghost Protocol due to Brad Bird.
Interesting. Mine is we saw Ghost Protocol in theaters, or I saw Ghost Protocol in theaters with my family, and from there, I just we I think we also watched Rogue Nation in theaters, and then I watched Fallout by myself because I'd moved out by that point, and then full circle, Dead Reckoning Part 1 with family this time, but in between, I think Fallout or maybe yeah, I think between Fallout and Dead Reckoning. I think in the run up to Dead Reckoning or maybe Fallout, I can't remember. In the run up to one of the more recent ones, I went back and saw Emma the whole series again. Even going back to go I did MI 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 all in a row. So yeah, because I was like, okay, yeah, it was Fallout because there was thing in the run up to Fallout because I remember thinking, what's going on uh, with? uh, I guess we could spoil Fallout, right? It's been a few
Yeah,
years.
yeah, okay. Yeah, it's 5 years, I think.
Yeah, so Michelle Monaghan shows up in Fallout, and I'm like, oh, wait, why is she in it in this? So I went back and watched those ones, and Fallout ended up being my favorite so far of actually to date. It is my favorite Mission Impossible movie because of just how not efficient the action is, but it just really puts you on the edge of your seat. Um,
Yeah, I think it's
uh,
the scope that Christopher McQuarrie brings to that. He has a action vision that is really impressive. The way that he builds his action scenes. So yeah, very interesting.
yeah, and I almost forgot he directed this one. I was thinking about Top Gun Maverick for a second. I was like, for a sec,
Oh yeah,
I got the two mixed up.
yeah.
Um,
Top Gun Maverick was directed by Kosinski, Joseph Kosinski, written by McQuarrie. So yeah, all the Tom Cruise verse is written or directed by Christopher McQuarrie. I think they have a really good time working together.
yeah, but yeah, those are my experiences with the film to date. So I think that kind of goes into our expectations for the film. Personally, going off of Fallout, my expectations were like right up here, just
Yeah, really high. Yeah.
sky high, because I just got served one of the best action movies of all time. I don't see how they could miss. So I remember getting chills in the movie theater when I saw the trailer in theaters in front of Top Gun Maverick. Like, I was just so ready. I was like, inject it into my veins. Please give me a new
Yeah.
Mission Impossible.
And I
Um,
think that just adding something about the trailer, the movie trailer. I think it was also Top Gun Maverick when I first watched the trailer. I don't usually watch trailers. I just watch when I'm at the movie theater. But I remember that the score is very effective to make you like feel emotional and excited to the movie. And later I'll talk about what I think about the the music score of Dead Reckoning. That does not achieve that, but
Not even
yeah,
close.
not even close. And but we can talk about the score later. Yeah,
But yeah, what were your expectations coming from Fallout to this movie?
the expectations were high because I think also because of Top Gun Maverick and all like this narrative that after the pandemic, Tom Cruise was like the guy to save cinema and to save the movie theaters. His movies were like scheduled and rescheduled a lot of times to get like the best theatrical release. And I also want to talk about that later. But I was expecting a lot, and the trailer is very efficient to make you expect. So expectations were also high, also very high, and due to the score, also the score on the trailer is very atmospheric. So I was really excited to this one.
Yeah, it has like that classic. They add the drums in just very
Yeah,
slowly, so that when you get to the end of the trailer, it's like boom, 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 boom,
yeah,
dun, dun,
it
dun.
gets very high and very energetic. So yeah, it's very nice. The music
Y-
on the trailer.
Yeah, on the trailer. But I guess since we're already talking about it, let's talk about like the background of the movie. One thing I specifically want to get your thoughts on, and I think I don't know if they backtracked on this, but they were going to shoot this back to back, MI7 and MI8 back to back.
I I think they would do it, but due to the pandemic and due to the pandemic, they had to shoot one, then shoot the other one because the budget got out of track. This one cost $291 million. That is like very high budget, and so just for comparison, Rogue Nation has a $150 million budget. So this one is like the double of it. So I think they did not shoot this one, and I think it was a missed opportunity. They couldn't imagine that, but I think it's a missed opportunity due to the strikes that happened right now. So they will have to wait a bit of time to finish the part two. Those kind of movies have shoots and reshoots and a lot of small details. But yes, I think they could shoot them back to back.
Yeah, and we'll get into this in a little bit more in spoilers, but it definitely feels constructed as
A
part
part one.
one and part two, because I'll get into more why when we talk about spoilers. But yeah, I definitely think I I'm of the same accord, basically, but and I think it put a lot of pressure going into what you were saying about Top Gun Maverick and how these 2 movies tied together, Dead Reckoning and Top Gun Maverick. I think there was, like, a lot of pressure to be like, "Okay, Tom Cruise, you've gotta save the movie theaters," or whatever,
Yeah.
and I I think it might have hurt this movie.
Yeah, I guess so because I don't know if you were expecting. I don't know if Paramount was expecting, but Top Gun Maverick did. I think it did way better than everyone was expecting. It crossed like a billion and 600 uh, millions, and so it was like a lot of money, and they had a brilliant window release. It released, just for like example, the movie released in May. I watched it in theaters in August. Just for they had like 6 months
They had it
of.
in theaters for a while.
Yeah, it just hit Paramount Plus and other streamers and VOD in December. I remember my father watching it at Christmas, the movie. So they were like really brilliant the way they did it. And so I also remember these years Tom Cruise going there and being like the guy. Oh, I am the guy that saved cinemas. I had a hit that few people were expecting. I think most of people were expecting Top Gun Maverick to do good on the box office, but I don't
Yeah.
know if anyone predicted like 1.6 billion. So
Yeah. Like
it
I
came a
think
lot of
maybe
pressure. Yeah,
50.
yeah, yeah,
And by that
and
by 50, I don't mean $50, 50 million.
yeah, for sure. And like people were really expecting this one. And one of the things that I think it made the problem with that expectation is that I said I would talk about that is the window that they choose to release this movie. I think it was a very bad date that they choose to. So basically, it released a week before Barbieheimer, and Barbieheimer was something that was bigger than expected. Yeah, it was like internet sensation. It was like a Twitter thing. But 2 months, 3 months before the release of the movies, it was something huge, and not only the US but worldwide. I went to see Barbie in a sold out crowd with everyone wearing pink. So it was like a really that kind of experience that is very unique. And Paramount chose badly to release a week before, and also Tom Cruise was reportedly mad about it because he lost all of
Very.
his premium screens like IMAX and all other formats due to this, because Nolan has a agreement with Universal that he has to have 60 days of premium screens, and Oppenheimer was huge success on premium screens that it got even more premium X screens after that. But yeah, I think that hurt the both of these facts hurt the movie. The pressure after Top Gun and also the bad scheduling before Barbieheimer that is the biggest phenomenon on cinema this year.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely think Barbenheimer was a big contributor because I it was interesting. Almost I feel like I tweeted this before, but I think I don't remember a lot of people even talking about Mission Impossible when
Oh
it came out. Which is really rare for those who have been alive during an Mission Impossible thing. It tends to be like a the event like Top Gun Maverick was, but instead you had Oppenheimer and Barbie was like right there. Uh, what was it? A week after? 2 weeks?
yeah, it was a week after, and also when Mission Impossible was releasing at that July, I
12th,
think it was 13th. I think it was July 13th that it released, something like that, or 14th. I don't remember.
July 12th.
Yeah, July 12th. They were happening the first press screenings for Barbie and Oppenheimer. So when the movie was releasing, people were talking about Barbieheimer because the first press screenings were. I remember like the movie was going to release at Friday, and Barbie had the first on a Monday, and people the whole week was talking about the sessions that happened on Monday, not about Mission Impossible that was going to release on the Friday. So yeah, it's quite crazy that it was. Yeah, again, it was like a bad choice by Paramount. I think it could even at August they could release in August. August had nothing of September,
Yeah.
but yeah, it happens. It was they underestimated the Barbieheimer. I think all of those did, but Paramount was the biggest loser of this underestimation.
Yeah, and I think the other thing they underestimated is the July box office boom that
Yeah,
happened
for
this
sure.
year. Because I feel like in July, I was going to the or for this specific period in the summer for a while, I was going every week.
Yeah,
Because
me
there
too.
was yeah,
Yeah.
there was like a new blockbuster, and it's just okay. By the time Mission Impossible, by the time Barbenheimer rolled around, which I did do the Oppenarby for those wondering. By that time, I was like, okay, I am good for a few months. I
Yeah.
uh, I want to watch a movie in my home.
I want to watch screeners. Yeah, I want to watch
Yeah,
screeners. I don't watch. Yeah. All right. No, I watched Barbenheimer. I watched Barbie on a Thursday because here in Brazil, movies or not, they don't release on Friday. They release on Thursday. So I watched a Barbie on a Thursday, and then I watched Oppenheimer on a Friday. And yeah, and you're talking about like the boom of the box office. I think that it started in late June because every week was like a big blockbuster like Transformers and Indiana Jones, and I think there were others, but Elementals, the Pixar, The Flash, all of them was in June, late June, starting July, and then we have Mission Possible, and then we have Barbenheimer. I think it's a period that we had a lot of movies and a lot of box office flops. Most of them were flops. I think due to that window.
yeah, for sure. But I'm grateful that period is over.
Yeah,
um, it's unfortunate for Mission Impossible. I do think, however, given how many people that like home media. I think since it's now out digitally, it's going to be out next week on 4K Blu-ray,
yeah,
out in what December for Paramount Plus, probably or something like that. They haven't set a date, but I'm assuming December.
yeah. November, December.
Um, I think it'll get that push that it needs to be like, okay, people are talking about it again, just right in time for the VFX Bake Off at the Oscars and stuff like that.
Yeah, for sure. I think talking about like awards prospects, I think it has a shot on like sound and VFX. Like the sound design and the sound mixing is brilliant in this movie. And but again, like it unfortunately it released before Oppenheimer. So we watched a Mission Impossible. Oh, the sound work is very good here. The sound design is very good. And next week you watched probably one of the best sound works of all time. I don't know. The explosion, the bomb explosion is one of the greatest scenes involving sound that I remember watching on a big screen. So yeah, it's a very good work. But when you compare to Oppenheimer, it's unfortunately it doesn't hold.
Yeah, maybe Oscars will budge this year and get stunts in there. Fingers
Yeah,
crossed.
yeah, I think they won't. It's too late
No.
now. It's October, but yeah, I hope the SAG. If you have the SAG Awards, let's hope that the SAG-AFTRA strike will be over until then, and the actors get their. Unfortunately, we don't know because SAG-AFTRA released a statement yesterday, saying that the studios were not willing to pay what they offered, and they were not open for a counter offer. So let's hope it's all Bluetooth Studios when they decide to do it, they will. But if you have the SAG-AFTRA stand category, Mission Possible will for sure appear. I believe
Yeah, for
it's a
sure.
beautiful work. Yeah.
But now that we've talked about the background, I want to get your overall thoughts on the film. Anything you want to mention?
Okay.
Yeah, just what were your overall thoughts on the film?
Yeah.
Actually, before that, because I feel like that's a wrap up kind of question. Let's talk about the new cast members. How did you feel about them?
Great. Let me just grab
It's
some
Haley
of the names
Atwell,
here. Yeah.
Asai
Haley Atwell.
Morales, Palm Clementif, Shea Wiggum, Carrie Ells, and Greg Tarzan Davis, among others.
So overall, I would like to start with Morel Gabriel. I don't like the character that much. I have
Me neither.
I have some problems with it. and I'll talk about the story question and also in the spoiler discussion. But I think that the character has a problem of development, and it's just like throwing off at the story. They need a antagonist for Ethan Hunt, and they created this one, and that is not like that compelling. But we have, and also I think is the case for Tom Clancy's character. I enjoy her very much in other movies, but her character Paris is not used well. She's basically got an ex machina character in the term scene,
Hmm.
and so yeah, I don't like it. Sheen Wimgun, Jasper Briggs enjoyed, but I think it's because Sheen Wimgun does a very good agent, and he's like charismatic, and some of his jokes works very well. Haley Atwell has chemistry with Tom Cruise, but I have a problem that does not involve her character. I think that Rebecca Ferguson's character is a way more interesting, romantic, and also the
Oh, we'll
couple.
talk about that in
Yeah,
spoilers. We will talk about that.
I think that Ilsa is a way better character to compose the couple and etc. But she's great in here. I like Haley Atwell and other works, so yeah, she's great. And Greg Thurston David and Carrie Elbows, I think they do like decent jobs, but not remarkable. Not something that pops off my head. I have to cite that. Nothing like that. But yeah, overall, I think Shea, Wingang, and Hilato are very good. And unfortunately, SI and Palm has bad characters to to work with.
Yeah, I guess dodging spoilers because I think the same way. I'm of the same accord. Let's see, how can I dodge spoilers? I'll just say that Pom Clementif's character, Paris, to me, she was just screaming all the time, and
Yeah,
we never get to, and this isn't a spoiler, we never get to know who she is, other than
yeah,
this random person that travels with a Psy.
yeah. I don't know why she dresses the way she dresses. Like why the makeup? I don't get it. Like the makeup, the clothes, and yeah, I think it's as I have said, Pom Klementif is a good actress, and she's very good in some interviews with
Mhm.
Simon Pegg and Rebecca Ferguson. But unfortunately, her character is not that good.
Yeah, and aside, didn't I? I don't know about you. He just didn't come off as a villain to me. Um,
No, yeah,
yeah, that's all I'll say about Psy before we get into spoilers. But
yeah, we will talk about.
a lot about. But with that said, let's lightly talk about the story. What did you think of where the story went? Kind of
Okay,
overall.
yeah, I'll try to dodge some spoilers here. And as you said in the beginning of the conversation, it does really feel like part one because I think it's structured that way, and I don't really feel like there is a third act in the movie. It feels like a big first act, and the train team action piece, the biggest action piece in the movie, is like a second act, and the third act is the whole part two. At least I felt the way. It's not Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse that it is a part one, and sometimes it feels like a part one, but it also worked like a three-act movie, and it's well developed. And here is, I feel like a huge, really huge, because the movie has 2 hours and 40 minutes of a first and second act. So I feel this is a bit problem, and also I like to say that sometimes I feel that movie is a bit too long in terms of rhythm and tone. Some scenes could be like polished
It,
better,
it's
and
at least an
sometimes
hour
I
too long.
Yeah, I wouldn't say an hour, but I would say 30 to 40 minutes, maybe. I think it could be 2 hour and minutes. Yeah, I know that the director and Tom Cruise felt that they need to tell the story in 2 hours and 40 minutes. But sometimes it's that kind of movie. I don't know if it's adding or I don't know the writing, but sometimes it's that kind of movie that some scenes you look at your watch to see if it is finishing. I have done that. I think one or two times during the session.
Yeah, there was.
But
Go ahead.
yeah, no, go ahead, finish. Yeah, you can
Um,
say.
there was a lot of times where I was just like looking around and seeing if people were like still watching the movie because I was like, I can't be the only one that's having a bad time here. But nobody was like looking around. I was the only one looking around and bored. So
Yeah, I also did that, but I do that for all the movies that I go see in theater. It's because I have ADHD, so
same.
sometimes it's hard. Yeah, it's hard for me to like to focus. And in movies that are like long, I have a lot of troubles. But this time it was nice because I went to see it on a packed theater. It was like sold out, and I watched on the. It was interesting because this movie premiered on a Wednesday here in Brazil. Like Paramount decided to release it on a Wednesday, like the special date. And I think it was. Let me see in the calendar. Yeah, it was also July 12th. It was also on a Wednesday, and it was simultaneous. But a lot of people were there, and it was interesting because I went to see with two friends that have not never seen any movie, any Mission Impossible movie, and this was the first one, and they enjoyed. And so I thought to myself, oh, if you enjoy this one, you are going to enjoy like Ghost Protocol, Rogue Nation, and Fall Mode even more. Not that this one is bad. I like this one. I think that the action scenes are great, but in terms of story, I have a bit of problem. I think it's really focused on the action sequences, the action pieces, and not on the plot stories and the plot points. So I have problem with Gabriel background. That scene in Venice, the whole like Venice thing, I think it's good. The action pieces are good, but it does not make a lot of sense. Some decisions that they do there. I'm going to talk about that in the spoiler discussion about something that Gabriel tells Ethan about a decision that for me does not
Yeah.
make much sense. But okay, and so yeah, the story is flawed. It has, I think, it has a lot of flaws that are not like so apparent in the other movies and the other three horror movies. So yeah, I had a kind of a bit of problem with the story.
Yeah, same. And I think for those watching it solo, I think you will really like MI3 if you like this movie. Um,
Yeah, I think it's similar. Yeah, it's no, it's not similar. It's very similar. It's very similar. Like the story
just,
point.
yeah, just
Yeah,
without the lens flares.
yeah. The camera is not trembling all the time, and I think that McQuire directs a lot better this one than J.J. Abrams. But also, Mission Impossible 3 was the first movie that J.J. Abrams has ever directed. And for me, it's crazy. Oh, the first movie that you're going to do is a
That
huge
makes a lot of
blockbuster.
sense, actually.
No, yeah, it does because Jay was like a huge name on TV. At the time, he had done Lost and other things. And Lost was like a huge success at the time. And yeah, he's also like a Spielberg kid, so it makes sense to start doing a, a big blockbuster. But yeah, it's very similar to Mission Impossible 3. Because
Yeah, for
Mission
sure.
Impossible 3 also feels like a farewell. I don't know if you have this sensation, but I when I watch it, I have this feeling that Mission Impossible 3 is kind of a farewell. If it feels like Tom Cruise was, oh, if if this is the last movie, the story is closed.
Very true.
And yeah, so I think this is why it makes similar to this one.
Yeah, for sure. There's a yeah. Oh, well, I won't get into why I think that, but you said you wanted to talk about music,
Yeah,
so I'll just let you take it away. What did you think about the score from Lauren Balfe?
I would like to start in saying that Lauren Balfe has done something that is very big and ambitions that he have record with different orchestras in different part of the world. So he recorded in the US, Austria, England, and I think Italy. So he recorded a lot of orchestra and mixed that after in the post production. And I think that is, yeah, you can hear it. That is like mixed and is very different. It feels like a Frankenstein kind of score because it does not like it's not cohesive. I think it some scenes lacks like the action it needs on the music, like the drums and the like even synths. I think it lacks a bit of tension. And I understand Lauren Balfe being that ambitious. Like he's a we were talking about J. Abrams being a Spielberg kid. Lauren Balfe is a Hans Zimmer kid. Yeah, he worked with Hans Zimmer, and Lauren Balfe. Hans Zimmer is a guy that he's doing like the Dune music score for the last 4 years. Yeah, so you can hear that it's very ambitious, but it lacks a lot of emotion and complexity on the score. And also, I feel that he does not use it well. The Mission Impossible theme. The
You can
first
barely
time
hear it.
that, yeah, I think the first time and maybe the only time that you hear it is when Ethan Hunt is escaping the airport.
Yeah.
Uh, and it's like an hour.
Actually,
It's
that's not
an
true. I heard it 3 different times.
oh, okay. So I can
And it was
remember.
all in the action sequences. It's like it's not the full theme. It's like notes from it. He used like the musical cues.
Okay. So yeah, I think that now that you talked about, I remember at the train. I think the train sequence had a bit of it, but yeah, I don't like that much the score by Ball. I miss Giacchino. I think that Michael Giacchino's score for Ghost Protocol is very good for the series. But yeah, Lauren Balfe, yeah, and unfortunately he's going to do the part two. But okay, let's wait to hear it.
Yeah, yeah, it's funny you mentioned Michael Giacchino's score for Ghost Protocol because while you were mentioning the theme, I was thinking of how Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol opens. And
Yeah,
with that's or not opens, but when it cuts to credits, there's that whole prison scene with Ethan, and you don't hear the Mission Impossible theme for a solid 5, 10 minutes, and then Ethan says, "Light the fuse," and then
ah,
you can like just hear it in the background, and then it just like kicks in.
yeah, and yeah,
It didn't here.
the orchestration is very huge. Jack does a very huge orchestration for it, and yeah, I think that Balf does not do that. But okay, that's uh,
Yeah, I think
Balf
his
has
thing is more motifs. I think he likes using motifs more.
yeah for sure. I think yeah, it has I think that one main motif. I was going to say the scene. I'm going to say in the spoiler, but in the Venice scene, there is a very important scene in Venice that he uses motif that is like the emotional motif that I like it. I think it's very effective. But for me, it's just this one motif that is used and is used very well on the scene. I have to give the editors and both the credit. Is very good in the scene.
Yeah, but with that said, I think we've avoided spoilers for as long as we can. I think this will be the last thing before we get into spoilers. After this question, everything will be spoilers.
Yeah.
So I just want to get your overall thoughts on the film, and then we'll give our final rating for the film before moving into
Okay.
spoiler discussion.
great. Yeah, I know that I said most about like the parts that it's, but to be honest, I really enjoyed. I had a great time with this movie. And I think it's a good movie to watch like with your friends, even if they haven't watched any of the series, because
Sure.
it's the kind of action movie that I think it lacks in today's blockbusters because it's really well directed. Christopher Maguire has a kind of classical type of guy that does very good action sequences. That car chasing, I think it's home Rome, that he
Yeah.
does in a like a small Fiat car against like huge military vehicles. It's very fun. So yeah, I really like the action scenes, and yeah, the action scenes make it up for the bad emotional plots and also the lack of development that Isai and Paul characters have.
Yeah, for sure. What's your final rating for the film?
So we are rating 1 to 5 or 1 to 10.
Whichever one's more comfortable for you. A lot of my guests use 1 to 10.
1 to 10. Okay, yeah, I think it's better because I'm used to letterbox, and letterbox are 1 to 5, and
Same.
sometimes yeah,
It, it's
yeah,
why I do 5 stars and all that stuff.
yeah. Sometimes I want to give a movie like 7.5, and I can, or 8.5. So I have to give it like a 4 star. But yeah, I already so my grade, my final rating would be like 8 out of 10. Like due to the yeah, I had a really I know that I noticed your face. I really had a great time watching it. Like the action scenes are really good, but I think that like maybe it's more like a 8, go into a like a 7.7 and a half, but it's a 8. It's a like using Anthony Fantano's ratings for his music reviews is like a light 8. It's not like a solid 8 or a strong 8. It's like a light 8. It's that kind of 8 that can go to a seven
It's
and
a
a
light.
half. Yeah, it's a light 8. It's a light 8. It's not a strong 8. It's not a light 8. But if I watch again, like the movie, the score can drop. What about your rating?
Yes, so I'm about to upset 90% of people. Um, or at least that's what I think. Um, I hated this movie. I was bored. I'm a big plot person. The reason why I liked Mission Impossible Fallout so much is because it followed through on characterization of the villain, of all the characters, even the new ones. It really Fallout and all the other Mission Impossibles, even when they were bad, they were still like, "Oh, this is fun." This wasn't fun for me. So yeah, I'm about to upset a lot of people. I just really didn't enjoy it. Yeah, I didn't have fun with it. I This is probably 2.5 for me. If we're using a 5-star scale, probably similar if we're using the 10-point scale. I just really I don't know my official letterbox rating, but yeah, it
I
was
think I think it's a 2.5 rating.
yeah,
I have read your review before the podcast, and I think it's a 2.5, 2.5.
yeah. So yeah, that's about where I'm at because it was such a massive letdown. It felt I don't know if you got this feeling, but it almost felt like somebody tried to make a cheap parody movie of Mission Impossible. Like what somebody like if somebody woke up from a dream and tried to tell you what this movie was about, that's what it felt like. Like a scary movie parody of Mission Impossible. That's what it felt like at least.
No, I didn't felt this way, but yeah, I understand you. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So yeah, that's my final thoughts on the film. Before we get into spoilers, if you haven't seen it, go see it. You can buy it now on digital as of this recording. It's $20. But if I'm sure I think it's out next week, the 17th on Blu-ray and probably would be available for rent for 6.99. So pause the podcast right now, whether you're on YouTube, your podcast player, whatever you're using to listen or watch this in, and come back later. Just make a note. With that, we have a lot to talk about with spoilers. Where do we want to start? Should we just go chronological?
Mm, yeah, I think we can go chronological. Yeah,
So,
there's a lot to talk about it.
yeah, there's a lot to talk about. So, we get introduced to the entity in a
Yeah.
prologue scene with a next generation Russian submarine, the Sevastopol.
Oh, I forgot about this scene.
Yeah, and
Hmm.
it's what bookends the movie. I'm assuming. It really doesn't give a clear thing, but that's what I'm assuming where part two will pick up from. Um, because at the end of the movie, they're like, "Hey, we need to find the cruciform key," and then it's, "Oh, hey, we found it," and then they show the
Yeah.
ocean. But yeah, the entity activates itself and like attacks a target and fires a torpedo back on itself. So let's talk about the prologue. This prologue was so insanely stupid
Yeah, I agree.
because at first I'm like, "Oh, cool. This is like the AI going rogue and whatever, right?" You don't know it at the time, but then you realize it's an AI. Anyways, but it gets so retroactively stupider the more you get into the movie because it's like, what do they say to themselves that or about the entity? They're like, it was saving itself or something, like
Yeah,
making sure people couldn't get to it. And I'm like, so it blew itself up to make sure people couldn't get to it. It quote
yeah.
they
It's
call it
stupid.
smart for doing that. What? If I was an AI and I thought, oh yeah, I'm gonna blow myself up, that causes more attention. That's the whole crux for why this mission happens in the first place is because somebody noticed it. Like the entity could have just been on a ship. Nobody would have ever known, but no, it fires on itself, and we lost contact with the Sevastopol. So, Ethan, you've got to figure it out. Yeah, that was just stupid to me. Yeah, it's so stupid.
Yeah.
And yeah, go ahead.
What I was going to say is that it feels like that parodies of James Bond in the '60s and the '70s. That movies that they used to do. Casino, like the first Casino Royale was like a parody of James Bond, and that type of movies like the Cold War, spy thriller that Hollywood did back in the day, they were like filled with scenes like that. They are like stupid, but they are purposely stupid. I think. And here not, I think the problem with this prologue is it is stupid, as you said. It is so stupid, but they do it in a serious and formal way. Like, oh, this movie is serious. It's a serious movie. So you need to, oh, no, this is serious. And it's so stupid. I think in theory, it can be a good scene. The action is okay, but it, yeah, as you said, it's very stupid and it does not make sense. And a problem that I have that I didn't talk in the spoilers free is that this damn key. Oh, it's two of them, and at one time is, oh, we have one, and the other is in the sea, and the other scene is, oh no, it magically appears from the sea. It's now on Earth, and people can take it. And I think it's very confusing and illogical the way that they talk about the key. And no, it's a bit of a mess. This key thing, so like the prologue, it's not good at all.
Yeah, and then yeah, it's not good at all. And I think another bad part is how Ethan gets introduced in this movie.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, look, I get people love the masks. I get it. And it was cool to have Ethan rip off his mask and reveal that it was Ethan and not the whatever agent he dressed up as. But oh, I'm sorry, actually, that's not how Ethan gets revealed. But yeah, so I guess how Ethan gets revealed is in the Arabian desert looking for Ilsa, and then he goes to that.
Uh,
Then
no,
he goes to the CIA,
no, no,
right?
no, no. He goes to CIA first, and then he
Oh, he
goes
goes to
to
the CIA first, and
yeah,
then
because someone tells him that Ilsa may have the key. So they
okay,
oh, Ilsa may have the key, and she's not a reliable person, and no, she works for the entity and all like that stuff. And then he goes to the desert.
okay, yeah, that makes
But I agree
sense.
with you. It's not. Yeah, I agree with you that it's not a. It's fun, but it's you could do it other way. But
I feel like it would have been a even cooler thing to be like, oh no, Carrie Ells. He dresses up as Carrie Ells, but he's already in the room. That would have been like, oh, that would have been funny.
yeah,
Um,
for sure.
because there are more humorous moments in this movie than in any other one. And
Yeah, indeed.
yeah,
Yeah.
and I feel like it would have been cool to just be like, oh, my cover is blown. The guy who I'm dressed up as is in the room here. That would have been at least a funny way to be.
And then the action explodes in the room. It could
Yeah,
be that way. Yeah, it would be
that way
cool.
you don't have a random guy in the back of a room put a mask on and then throw a grenade in the middle of the IMF
Yeah,
and somehow doesn't get caught. Like I know I'm supposed to suspend my disbelief, but I have suspended my disbelief too far at this point. And
yeah,
what we're in like minutes into the movie, if that.
yeah. 20 minutes.
But yeah, you've got that, and then he gets tasked with, hey, you've got to find Ilsa because she's got half of the key, half of the cruciform key, cruciform key.
Yeah,
And then quite possibly the worst storytelling decision Christopher McQuarrie made happens here. He, he Ilsa quote unquote dies, and
yeah.
I'm gonna
Surprise!
jump
I'm back.
around. Yeah, and jumping forward a little bit here, it's revealed that no, he faked her death, and then later on, she actually dies. It's
Yeah, it does make sense. It does not make sense.
it
Uh,
it's emotional, yo, and I am not gonna play emotional, yo.
yeah, yeah. As I said in the spoiler free when I was talking about Boff's score, I think the only time that it works is in the Vanity's death of Faust, of his Faust. But I think it's more about the character than the score saying per se. But yeah, I didn't like either. Also because I talked in the spoiler free also about like the decision that Gabriel says to him, oh, you have to make a decision, or Haley Atwell is going to die, or Ilsa Faust is going to die. And it makes no sense. I know that he has a past they try to connect to the other movies, and then it's similar to Mission Impossible 3, that he tries to save everyone, save Michelle Monaghan and Simon Pegg and everyone, and it does not work. And they try to do a callback here. He
Mhm.
trying to, but actually it worked because Michelle Monaghan is alive in Fallout. But here it does not make sense to me. Oh, you have to choose between two persons, and he chooses electoral. He just met her. I know she's a high qualified bandit, but is a false, is he part in crime? And also, what I don't like about her death, besides loving the character, is the way that is telegraphed. If you watch the movie, you understand that she's going to die.
Yeah,
There's no mystery. That scene that she's hugging Ethan and Simon Pegg on a balcony in Venice. I don't know if you remember this the scene where they are talking and she hugs him and she hugs Simon Pegg and they are like, oh, we are this beautiful messed up family. You know that she's going to die, and it's very telegraphed. And I don't like about I don't like it. I don't like it the way that they do it.
and what makes it particularly, I don't want to say painful, because that, but off-putting to
Yeah.
me was that they've had death fake outs in Mission Impossible. It's their main thing is
Yeah.
faking out deaths. Um,
I, everyone at this point has faking out that.
there
Almost
was
everyone.
that near the end of Fallout, Ethan has a dream that he and Michelle Monaghan, his former wife, die in a nuclear explosion, but that was just a fake out. And so that was done well because it had served a story purpose of, hey, Ethan is really caught up in his past and things like that. But with this one, it just felt, oh, we have a new character, so we got to kill somebody else off.
Yeah, I found this way too, and I think it's not when you put in like it's not worth it. I think I like the actual character, but I think that Ilsa at this point is a very memorable part of the crew, and I think she's as important as Simon Spegg character. And I don't want, yeah, I hated that she died, and I don't know, maybe yeah, it is something that I was asking myself after the movie ended. Yeah, they can bring her again, like they did to Michelle Monaghan in the part two. Yeah, I don't know. I There was some rumors that at the time that maybe that she was killed in the movie due to her schedule because she was shooting Dune Part Two at the same time and
Right.
etc. But yeah, Dune is going to released right now. Probably part two is going to be postponed. So yeah, they can bring her back, not to be like a ghost or a flashback, but they can relive her character again.
Yeah, and look, I'm not mad. We trade one mommy for another mommy. I'm okay with it.
Yeah, yeah, for
Um,
sure.
I just want Ethan to be happy, but we both know that's not going to happen.
No.
Also, I think his one true, I think Ethan's person is Alana, aka the White Widow. I think if I had to like Theorycraft, that's his person. But
Yeah, I agree.
that's
I
just me.
think, yeah, I think that he has relationship problems. I think he should be like alone because every woman he goes with, they die. Yeah, I think it's very problematic. But Eden is a problematic person, but yeah, for sure. I think he's a loner. I think a
Yeah,
lone ranger. Yeah,
yeah. Even to the point of in the flashback with his former, what was it, his former partner?
yeah.
Um,
His former wife.
yeah, it
That
dies because Ethan refused to choose or something like that in the past, and that's why it was so weird, man. Let's talk about Psy for really or Gabriel for a little bit. The retconning, the retconning of a villain from Ethan's past when you literally brought actors back from the previous Mission Impossibles that you could have used for that very same purpose. What are we doing here?
yeah,
Um,
I agree.
who who is it that rejoined the cast? Is back in this one, and you could have literally like the going back to Ilsa. He's the one who put the bounty out on Ilsa. Like
Yeah,
you could, I, why do we? Why do I need Gabriel, a
and
guy?
then and we found out that he is the guy that is he's making a deal with Vanessa Kirby character.
Yeah,
So
like
he could be the villain. He could be the villain.
yeah, you don't even need
Gabriel,
Gabriel.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, I agree with you.
Other than I don't know to be the human voice for the entity.
But
What are we doing here, guys?
I think that it would make sense. Yeah, he being the like the human voice to the entity because he's inside the government. So yeah, he has like the whole structure to the technology and etc. So yeah, I think it would
Yeah,
make sense.
yeah, for sure. But yeah. Gosh, what else do we have to talk about? I guess I feel like the movie just deliberately shuffles pieces off the board procedurally throughout the movie to be like yeah, they'll probably return in part two. Luther is, hey, I'm gonna go work out on my farm or something like that because the the AI can't track me down. I forget the reason he gives, but I'm gonna sit this one out or something like that. He's gonna be in part two, and
And
then
he's probably dying in part two too. Yeah,
yeah,
I feel the way. I feel the way. Yeah.
because he has a whole speech of like how important is the mission to you? What's the purpose of the mission?
Yeah, and they have that. We don't talk about that yet, but this whole like moral mission of when you enter the MIF and the mission possible is to redeem from your sins, like all your crimes and all stuff that you have done before that were like deplorable, and they do that to the really actual character, and yeah, I think it's pretty obvious to me that they will kill one of the trio, and this person is Luther. So yeah, is again is very telegraphed again.
Yeah, and then like Paris is, oh, she's alive now. She's dead now. She's alive.
Yeah, and they do that a lot. And when the movie finishes, I think she's dead or she's alive. I don't remember.
Yeah, because at the end of the movie, she's alive.
She's alive. Yeah.
She joins the IMF
Oh, okay. Yeah. I
along with
yeah.
Grace. The only reason I remember it because is I did a specific spoiler warning episode on this where I wrote down all my notes and everything like that. And it was just like, okay, we are getting so desperately set up for a part two that it almost hurts the way it ends. Because it's, oh, you could go on you could add another 30 minutes to this movie and it would be over.
Yeah, I felt it this way. For a movie that has 2 hours and 40 minutes, it does not need to have another 2 hours and plus 30 minutes of movie.
Yeah.
It is not necessary to finish it. Sorry, I feel like I think you remember what I'm talking about, but like that early 2010s tendency of adapting young adults books that was like
Yeah.
this thing they had 150 pages into two hours and 20 minutes movies that has nothing to say. Like the I remember the most example that I can use is like the Hunger Games, like the part one and part two, that could be like one movie of an hour and 30 minutes and it would be fine.
I've
But
got a more egregious example for you.
yeah, go ahead.
The Hobbit.
The Hobbit, yes, they took a book that is this thin. I have this book at home, and my edition is a bit bigger because they try to get a lot of anecdotes from Tolkien, and they do. Yeah, I enjoyed Hobbit. I watched at movie theaters. It was fun, but it's ridiculous that you turn a 200, 300 page book into three movies of 2 hours and 40 minutes. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, and the ending had a very similar of Dead Reckoning Part 1 had a very similar feel to how Desolation of Smaug ended,
Oh yeah,
where they're like, "Hey, this thing is happening right now," but oh, credits. And it's
yeah.
like, "Wait, what?"
Yes,
Um,
because in the deletion of small, we can talk because this year makes 10 years anniversary of it. So yeah, is spoiler free now, officially spoiler free. Yes, it ends with Small running away from the mountain and putting fire in the whole village, and they and then they cut it into credits and put that Ed Sheeran song "I See Fire." And I felt the same way here. There is not an Ed Sheeran song, but it has that terrible Valve score. And they finish here, and oh, you have to wait one more year to watch it. But in this case, I think it's more than a year due to the SAG-AFTRA and the WGA, the jury strike is over, but they have lasted 140 days, so a lot of movies will be affected.
Yeah, the current date is June 28th, 2024. I do not think it hits that date
No,
at
no,
all.
no, because an example that I used earlier and I will use it again is that Beyond Spider-Man Beyond the Spider-Verse was postponed and it does not have a date yet. I think that Mission Possible will have the same thing, probably like 2025. If I'm not wrong, I think that 2025 is not a crowded year. If I'm not wrong, and I think there is not like big blockbusters and etc. Probably be some Marvel thing, and but no, there is not, or the Star Wars thing. I also think that there is a Star Wars thing in 2025. But I think it may be better to Paramount to put this in 2025, and they better choose a better date for part two because again they were very stupid to put this against Barbenheimer.
I, I
Yeah,
will I will give them free advice right here, right now.
go Austin, do it.
You know how January is always perceived as you don't release movies in
Yeah,
January?
it's
Release in
called like
January.
yeah, it's called like the dump season. Yeah, something like
Yeah,
that. That you yeah that you release movies that you don't want. Yes, I think it's right because there's no competition. There are only Oscar dramas, and for international features, you have you have some wide releases. And this is not like the first time in recent years that Paramount do this. They have done last year with Babylon. They have released Babylon a week after Avatar 2, and that's really stupid. That's really stupid because they were supposed to do like a platform release for it. They were going to release in limited screens, and they were going to wide release. I think it was like January 19, something like that. They were just released on Christmas Day to qualify for the Oscars, and then they held back and no, we're going to release wide release on Christmas Day, and it was like a very stupid idea. It was a massive flop, and it is a movie that I really love. So yeah, Paramount needs our advice, Austin. They need our advice.
I because I think the thing, and I get dragged online for saying this, but when I said it back in July, I'm like, I don't need a entire month of blockbusters. Spread it out. Just you can release a blockbuster in March. Next year, we only have the Academy Awards in March. That's it.
Yeah, and we
Like,
also have the Mickey 7 by Bon Jovi that
uh, yeah.
is it actually scheduled in the same day as Dune 2? They are both
No,
no.
that's the same day as Ghostbusters Afterlife 2 on the
Okay.
29th.
So the night March. So yeah, we have Mickey 7. I think this one will not be harmed by the SAG-AFTRA strike because I think it's finished. I think it is in post production, and post production does not have PCADs or something like that, so they are good to work. But yeah, I think they should do that. And I also think that it's a very stupid idea of Warner to release Dune 2 in March, April. I think it's very stupid. Does not do that. Dune is another franchise that like major studios does not know what to do because the first one rollout was terrible, and the second it seems to be this way too.
Yeah, I've got Dune as March 15th.
Yeah, it's no, it's not very intelligent. I would bring it to September,
August.
August, and also I think that MGM slash Amazon It's a smaller movie. It's right, but they also have challengers like that Luca Guadagnino movie to March or April. So like the studios, these studios are putting all like the movies that were postponed to that March and April, which is not very intelligent, but okay.
Yeah, literally a week after Challengers comes out on
March
April
22.
April
Oh, April.
26th
And
is Deadpool 3.
that is going to be postponed for sure. This one is good.
100%. I don't see n-
No,
not
no,
even close.
this is for sure a 2025 release. And also, I'd like to comment that Hugh Jackman and Ryan Reynolds they have really bad luck because it's the second movie involving Deadpool and Wolverine that is done during writer's strike. I have lower expectations to this. They're very low. Last time they did this was not very good.
Yeah, but I think my advice would be release part two in a dead time, like where there's nothing coming out that can even remotely compete against you.
Yeah,
Um,
as they did to Top Gun Maverick. It was released in May, and it was like, yeah, May is summer, but it was like a dead week. So yeah, they should do that again.
yeah, they didn't have anything on the horizon that would directly compete. I guess with that said, anything else spoilery you want to mention?
No, I think that we talked a lot, and
We
I
did talk
a
a
lot, and yeah, I think we covered. It's a movie that has a lot of things to say because it's a 2 hour and 40 minutes movie. But yeah, I think that's it. I talked everything I wanted to.
yeah, so I guess what are your hopes for part two then?
Yeah, I really hope a better script. Yeah, I don't know why this one was this way because McQuire is probably one of the best Hollywood writers right now. For those who don't know, he has won an Oscar in '96 or '97 for that Usual Suspect, that Brian Singer movie,
Yep.
and he's a talented writer. And also, advice that I would give is if you don't know Christopher McGuire Letterbox profile, go see it. It's very interesting. He talks about the movies that he likes to watch, and you can see inspiration in that reckoning. But yeah, I hope a better script and as good as action scene as good as this one. The train sequence, we did not talk about the train sequence, but the train sequence is very good. I really like the train sequence.
I think this was a big part of my boring factor was that there were too many action scenes in this movie.
Yeah, it has a lot.
I don't need three big action set pieces. Like I yeah, that was way too much for me. I was like,
Oh,
okay,
actually, this one has four big action pieces. There is like
uh,
the desert, the airport, Venice, and train.
yeah. And it's just, I could just do with the Abu Dhabi airport one and the train. I don't need every action scene to be a big action scene.
Yeah,
Although I did like the gunplay in like when he's fighting off the bounty hunters. I did
yeah,
like that. It reminded me
yeah.
a lot of a John Wick style.
Yeah, fun fact: the director of photography of this movie, he is the John Wick's director of photography. I forgot his
Oh,
name is Fraser something. I have ruined here.
Fraser Taggart.
Fraser Taggart. Yeah, he has done the John Wick 2 or 3. I'm not sure, but yeah, he's the director of photography of this one, and yeah, so this is why I think the Venice scene is very similar to some of the the party scenes of John Wick's. I think it's very similar.
Yeah. And I guess getting back to my hopes for that, less action scenes. I don't need big bombastic action scenes. I'm okay with one or two. In fact, even in John Wick 4, it was a lot. And let's see, what else? Gosh, one second. Yeah, I don't need action scenes that are as bombastic as this one was. I need a little bit less of runtime. I don't think I need another 2 hours. They could probably get away with 90 minutes given how they structured this one as, okay, we've got this, now we need to get this. I know that won't happen. It's gonna be another 2.5 hour movie.
Yeah, I have a guess that they might do almost 3 hours.
Yeah.
What? Yeah, they might
Or
do that.
I definitely think they have a magic number where they're like, if we hit this, would be really significant.
Yeah, I think the magic number is a bit under the the 3 hours because the exhibitors does not like movies that are too long because you can only schedule less sessions. So that's why some movies have kind of trouble with sessions. One example that I can give is that the movie theater that I go only have one session of Killers of the Flower Moon scheduled that is at night because the movie has 3 hours and 30 minutes. So yeah, it's kind it has a magic number.
Yeah, I guess I was just referring to how with in game somebody did the math of like runtime and it was like 3,000 minutes or something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I definitely think I hope that we get something like closer to 2 hours and 30 minutes because I don't know, this just felt longer to me.
Well, yeah, you read those.
But yeah, just get me back to a nice tight movie. I don't need a lot of things where it's, oh hey, we have to go here, now we have to go here, now we have to go there, now we have to go there. Just go from A to B in this movie. If this was really a part two of and what was originally supposed to be the finale of the entire franchise, by the way, at least this version, I'm assuming, because when they pitched these two movies back to back, they were like, these two are the final ones, the final Mission Impossible movies. But I'm guessing that's not the case now, which is unfortunate because there does seem to be quite a bit of finality to it. So yeah, I don't know what much more I can say about this. I'll just say thanks to everyone who's listened to this episode of the podcast. I've been your host, Austin Belzer. If you've enjoyed this episode, please subscribe and leave a rating wherever you can on whatever app. I know you can do it on Spotify. I know you can do it on iTunes. If you want to
Apple
follow me,
Podcasts.
yep, yeah, Apple Podcasts, and you could follow me on everywhere except for X at Austin B Media, except for Twitter where it's Austin B Media underscore. And then I guess on Letterboxd, Austin B Movies. All the links to that in the description or the show notes. And Pedro, I want to thank you for coming on and talking about Mission Impossible for a really long time,
A really long
almost as
time.
long as a entire movie.
Yeah, we did a bit less than they did. We know when to finish. And yeah, thanks for having me on the podcast. It was really fun to talk about this one. And yeah, thanks guys for listening. Yeah, it was really cool to talk about.
Yeah, thanks. And for those listening slash watching, I'll see y'all next time.